Nice little bit from the Parsha. So anyone who has the papers over here, the Hashkafic portion, as we call it, he quotes a Maral. It's actually, I don't know if the Maral is famous, but the idea that the Maral is going to teach us today is a very famous idea. The Maral in Esiva Avaida, just to read his words before we explain. Ha'adam hazeh, us, people, asher baroi Hashem yisbarach, Hashem created us. Ratza l'zachaisai, He wanted to give us merit to l'taroi, mibchisusai agashmius, which really is part of the reason of creation, is to elevate ourselves from the gashmi that we are and make everything a bit ruchni. And he says that's the reason why by achila and shtiya is gashmius. And whenever we're going to do something gashmi, what do we do before the gashmi? So we're probably all respond, you make a bracha. But even before you make the bracha, says the Maral, L'kach ha-mitzvah shekoidem sheyoichal v'yishte yitol es yadav. You sit down to Suda, what's the first thing you do? You wash your hands. Ki davar zeh hu kedusha. That is kedusha, that we're elevating our gashmias to a level of ruchnis. In a few moments we're going to learn that's one of the reasons actually why we wash our hands before we eat is for matters of kedusha. Similarly, Tumah L'Taira, which we're going to get to in 2 moments. But everything that we're going to be doing gashmi is we want to elevate. So in order to elevate it, we wash our hands in order to show us we're about to eat. We're not just feeding our animalistic bodies. We're doing something for a higher purpose. And he quotes over here, this week is Parshas Acharei-Kedoshim and Kedoshim. So the truth is, he goes with Acharei-Kedoshim. We could really tie it into Kedoshim, into the fact that the famous Ramban teaches us, that some of us spoke about already, that the purpose of being in this world, Hashem gives us lots of gashmias, but we have to be careful not to become, as the Ramban famously coins in a novel, Parshas Acharei. We put a hechsher on everything, we make a bracha, and everything is mutter. So the Ramban famously says that Kedoshim to you is you have to sanctify yourself a little bit. Sometimes we hear that and we think, okay, that means that we have to fast our whole life and we're not supposed to have any pleasures. That's not what the Ramban said. The Ramban is just teaching us that we're supposed to elevate everything we do, which is really what this Maral is teaching us. Is that we're going to eat, you're going to have a Suda. What are you going to do with that Suda? You're going to wash your hands. Today we're going to learn how to wash your hands properly. I'm sure in the little bit that we're going to learn today, there will be many, whether it's a halacha you didn't know, whether it's something that we were doing not the best, whether we'll hear certain things that we're like, wow, that's really a thing. Fascinating. But this is all elevating the gashmis that we are. But he ties it also in Parshas Acharei-Kedoshim. The Kohen Gadol goes into the Beis HaMikdash on Yom Kippur. Says the pasuk, Ki b'yom hazeh yechaper aleichem letahar eschem mikol chatoi seichem. So the person who wrote his notes, I think is Rav Eliyada Goldvecht. So he says, he had an elderly Yid and met him in Meiron. Tells the story. And the Yid says to him, why does the pasuk say, Yechaper aleichem letahar eschem? It could have just said, Yechaper uletahar eschem. There's an extra word in there. Yechaper aleichem letahar eschem. It could have put it all together. So this Yid tells him the following beautiful pshat. That there's another way to read the pasuk. You could put an extra comma in there. Ki b'yom hazeh yechaper. On this day you get a kapara. What's this day? Yom Kippur, Kohen Gadol. On Yom Kippur you get a kapara. What's the kapara in Yom Kippur? Yom Kippur itself. The itzumai shel yaim. The sanctity of Yom Kippur gives a kapara. Continues the pasuk. Aleichem letahar eschem. The rest of the year it's aleichem. It's on you. Letahar eschem, to purify yourself. On Yom Kippur, Hashem does it for us. On the rest of the year, what do we have to do? We have to be viskadeshtem. We have to sanctify our actions. We have to take our gashmias. He concludes here with a beautiful story from, I think it's a famous story, classical Baal Shem Tov story, that the Baal Shem asks, I don't know if it's Eliyahu Hanavi, whoever he asked, who's going to be the person next to him in Gan Eden? And they revealed to him it's a certain Yid that lives on the outskirts of town. So Baal Shem Tov goes and he finds this Yid, a burly fellow, strong man, who's a lumberjack. And he thinks to himself, must be a hidden tzaddik. I'm going to watch his ways, and we'll see probably he's in a disguise of a lumberjack, but really he sits and he learns Torah throughout the whole night with Kedusha v'Tahira, and this is his way of masking himself. And he goes and he hides out and he watches the lumberjack for a week. And what does he see? Nothing. He sees a good old-fashioned lumberjack cutting and eating and cutting. And this man was a large fellow. He ate a lot of food. After the week is over, and it's clear he is certainly no hidden tzaddik, Baal Shem Tov approaches the man and says, "Can I ask you, who are you? Who's your rebbeim? Who are your teachers?" The guy says, "I don't really have any rebbeim. I don't really have any teachers. What? I eat and I'm a lumberjack." And the Baal Shem says, "There has to be more. Tell me something about yourself." So he says, "The truth is, my father, when I was a young boy, my father was a worker on some lord's property, and the lord one day was upset with my father. He wanted to convert to Christianity, and my father said no. And the lord beat him. And my father was a skinny guy, and he succumbed and he died. And when I was a little boy, I decided that will never happen to me. If anyone ever comes to me and questions my faith, I'm going to be strong. I'm going to be able to stand up for myself." And concludes the Baal Shem, so this Yid, this lumberjack, he ate and he ate and he ate. But every time he ate, why was he eating? He was eating with one intention, that God, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Yiddishkeit, is the only thing that matters to me. If anyone ever questions, I'm going to have another muscle, another pound of food. And thereby his entire life was transformed to Kedusha, to the point that the Baal Shem said, this is going to be the person all the way up that's going to be next to me in Gan Eden. Why? Because he elevated the Gashmi to the highest levels of Ruchni. As the Maral is teaching us, that why are we created? To take our pchisos, to take our lowliness, to take our physicalities, litaharit. And where do we see this from? When we eat, we make brachais. When we eat, we wash our hands. In Yonei Kedusha. And as we said, Viska Dashtem? Someone help me here? Viskadishtem. Now we have a machlekes. Okay, so I was right both times, and I was wrong in all of them. Says the Vasa Kedoshim Diyu. And of course, we have to be careful that, of course, we do mitzvahs and we do brachas and we wash our hands. But where's the Kedoshim? Maybe at some level it's becoming just one big novel, Parshas Acharei. So hopefully, as we're going to learn about the Yonei Kedusha of washing your hands, it will elevate it. And maybe when we wash our hands, we'll realize maybe we've been doing something wrong. And maybe we'll realize that our diktuk in halacha has to be a drop better. And that will be an easy way of tapping into the Kedusha, elevating ourselves, b'siyata dishmaya.